Well, I am so nervous. It's so crazy. I already did this on Thursday. I don't even know why I'm so nervous. I've always been anxious my whole life. I got diagnosed with TMJ. Do you guys know what that stands for? Yeah, too much Drew. The doctor was like, yeah, there's just too much in there. I was hanging out with my bubby today, and I was telling her how nervous I was, and I was telling her how much diarrhea I was having. And she was like, oh, I don't want to catch it. And I was like, oh, Bubby, you can't catch Drew. Don't worry. You already have it. All I ever wanted was attention growing up, you know? Just to get noticed, I had to tantrum, slam doors, and pull down my underwear. My boss hates when I do that. Hates it. But I'm not here to tell jokes. Trust me, I wish I was. I'm here, and I'm not going to plug my show next week either, because that would be really distasteful. It's next Sunday at the Branded Saloon in Brooklyn. Yeah, that would be really distasteful. 8 o'clock, $10 at the door. But I'm here to get serious, so let's just come on this journey with me. I love you. Unconditionally, I love you. And I know that you had to go. And I'm not even mad. And I know that you may have to go again and leave me. And I know in my heart that no matter what, with or without you, I'm gonna be okay. I was just talking to my hair. I'm so sorry. Was that weird? That got weird. Okay, yeah, we do that. I've had a weird, tumultuous relationship with my hair. I'm gonna start at the beginning. The first memory that I have as a person in this world is being told that life as I know it is over. I was 5 years old, and my parents sat us down for our first and only family meeting. And they told us that they were getting divorced. And I didn't even know what that word meant. I was so young. Everyone was crying. I was excited. We were all hanging out together. And someone had to pull me aside and be like, no, Tati's moving out. This isn't funny. And I remember being so scared and confused. Why? Why would he leave my mom alone with 5 kids? Who was going to protect us? I stopped feeling safe that night. I felt powerless. I felt out of control because it was beyond my control. And early on, I realized that I don't have control over a lot of things. But one thing that I do have control over is my appearance and how I look, specifically my hair. And so right away, I became obsessed with my hair. I remember in school, I got kicked out of class for distracting the kids by playing with my hair so much. Like, I just couldn't stop pulling it and making sure there were no bumps in the ponytails. And one day I brought a blow dryer because it was raining, and I was so concerned that you guys were gonna see me with frizzy hair. And I honestly believe that, I should have brought my water. Where is it? Oh, right. I might have to get that, and that'll be okay too. I honestly believe that if you saw me with my frizzy hair, you wouldn't like me. When I was 15 years old, I went away for the summer, and I found out some news about my family that was very upsetting to me. And I didn't feel like I had a voice. And I didn't feel like I had the power to express how I was feeling. So I used the only tool that I had, which was my hair, and I cut it off all of my hair. And I dyed it yellow. It was not a good color. Bad choice. And I didn't tell anybody in my family what I had done. So I came home after the summer, and I was wearing a baseball cap. And I remember my father opened the door, and I stood there, and I pulled off my hat. And I was like, hi. He was pissed off. He had a very strong reaction, and he sent me to my room. But I felt strong. And I felt validated, and I felt seen, and I felt heard, and I felt powerful. Did I say powerful already? I felt powerful. I realized I do have control, even if it's just with my hair. In my early 20s, I turned to alcohol for control. I know now why I was drinking, but back then there was too much pain. And I felt powerless over my circumstance. And alcohol made me feel safe. And at the end of my drinking, I couldn't leave the house unless I knew where my next drink was going to come from. And so I carried alcohol in my bag a lot of the times. By the grace of a power that I really don't even understand, I was able to get sober, and I had my last drink when I was 25 years old. Thank you. It's literally one day at a time, sometimes an hour at a time. But I have learned tools where I don't have to drink to feel safe anymore or feel in control. But my hair obsession was not over. When I got sober, my hair was to my elbows and it was blonde. And my next obsession became with the roots. And if you guys saw my roots, you would not like me. And I believed that story. And so every 6 weeks, I had a standing appointment with my hairdresser to fix my roots because I was so ashamed of who I was underneath the blonde hair. In my late 20s, I fell in love for the first time with my best friend. I had never been attracted to women before, and I was very confused and ashamed. And all I wanted was to fit in, and I didn't. And we ended up dating for a couple of years. And then when we broke up, I wanted so badly to be straight again. For you guys, but also for me, because I could not accept that part about myself. All I wanted was to be able to sit at a Shabbos table and to feel like I fit in and not have people comment on like, oh, you're a lesbian, right? Which has happened 2 weeks ago, okay. At a singles event, awkward for everybody. We're going out next week. It'll be fine. I'm excited. He seems open-minded. So a couple years after we broke up, I had been doing comedy for a while. And I was about to get on stage, and I was fixing my hair. And I remember just like, doing the average run through, and I felt a bald spot behind my ear. And I was like, wait, what? What? What's happening? I didn't even have time to process my feelings because I had to get on stage and make you all laugh. And so I got up on stage like everything was fine, and it was not fine. My hair was falling out very, very fast. I got diagnosed with alopecia, which is an autoimmune disease where your body thinks that your hair is the enemy and it just rejects it. And there's really no cure. And there's no real reason why some people get it and some people don't. They connect it to stress, but if that's the case, I should have been born with alopecia. It's weird that I didn't have it. And every morning I would wake up and I would turn over and I would just be sitting in a pool of hair on my pillowcase. And at the time, my hair was shoulder length, so it was long strands. And every time I took a shower, it was a traumatic event because the long hair would just fall down my body every time it got wet, every time I touched it. And this was going on for months, and then finally one day I was in the shower, and I remember washing the thin strands. At that point, my hairline had receded 3 inches, and so it was starting from back hair. And I was washing my hair, the thin strands that were left, and I had this thought, this burning desire came over me, and it was like, I cannot live like this anymore. This is not a way to live. And so I ran out of the shower and I got a pair of scissors and I stood in front of the mirror and I just started cutting furiously. And I cut and I cried and I cut and I cried and I cut until there was nothing left. And when I was done, I started laughing because I realized my whole life I have been holding on to this one thing to make me feel safe, to make me feel a part of. And I had just let it go. I had just surrendered my hair, and I didn't know if it was ever going to grow back. I don't want to spoil the ending. It did. But I remember the freedom that I felt. The next day I went to work without a bandana, without a hat, without a wig. And I stood taller and I felt prouder because I knew that I was standing in my truth and that I no longer needed my hair to define who I was. And I felt like I could breathe, and it didn't matter that I looked weird. I didn't care anymore. I didn't care. I didn't need to make you happy anymore. I knew that I did what was best for me. The crazy part is within the next month, my hair started growing back, and within 6 months, I had a full head of hair. And I was like, wow, that was traumatic, and I learned the lesson, and I'm grateful. Great, cool, let's move on. But then a year and a half later, I was fixing my hair, and I remember feeling the back of my head about to go to a sukkahs meal, and there was a huge bald spot. I was like, what? What the, are you kidding me? I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. I didn't want to be bald again. I just didn't want it. I couldn't accept that that was what was going to happen. And I knew that that was what's going to happen. That's what happens. Your hair falls out. But I decided that this time I wasn't going to hide, and I was going to let people in and let them see me and share the pain that I was in. And so what that looked like for me was I shared about it on Instagram. I posted stories about why I was wearing a hat. I let them see me crying. I didn't have to be perfect anymore. I was like, you guys, this is what's happening. And I took a poll, who wants to come and hang out while I go to the barber and have my hair shaved? Everybody wanted to, so we might have gone live. But I was in pain, and I'm gonna say this, I don't know why this is, but the second time was harder. I did not wanna be bald again. And so I wore a hat. And I didn't really let anybody see me because I was so ashamed and I felt so ugly. And one day I was sitting on my couch crying. And I had this thought. I was like, Chani, you were born to perform and you're dying on your couch. You need to get up. You need to leave the house. And I went to an open mic. And I wasn't planning on taking off my hat that night. I was planning on just getting up on stage and pretending like everything was fine and telling my old jokes. And they called me on stage, and I got up there, and I knew that if I didn't take off my hat then, I was never going to take it off. But in that moment, I wanted to be free again, more than I cared about what you guys thought of me. So I pulled off my hat, and the entire room burst into applause. Yeah, let's do that. And I took the stage back that night. But I also took my life back. Yeah, let's clap. Yeah. This message isn't even about hair. This message is about anything that we're holding on to so tightly that isn't working for us anymore, whether it's a job that I was at for 15 years that I walked away from a year ago. Thank you. It could be a relationship. It could be anything that's not working for us, that's weighing us down. And I'm going to be honest, sometimes I get scared. And in those moments, what I do is I put my hand on the heart of the little girl who was so scared and had no control over her life. And I comfort her, and I say, you're okay. We're okay. You're safe now. My name is Chani Lisbon. Sometimes I have hair, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I date women, and sometimes I date men. But I know that no matter what I look like and who I'm with or what job I'm doing, I am okay, and I am enough, and so are you.